Hello, in this section I will talk about post-operative nausea vomiting. I'll talk about what is the mechanism of nausea vomiting. Also we'll talk about the different receptors involved, neurotransmitters involved in nausea vomiting, what are the various antiemetic drugs and what combination we should use, what are the risk factors in the patient, everything we will discuss. So let's start with some of the important definitions which we need to be clear before discussing this topic, that what is PONV, what is POV, what is PCND, NV. So we need to know about it. But before that, before everything, what's new in the recommendation of post-op nausea vomiting? Now, guidelines for managing post-operative nausea vomiting, this is January 26 consensus guideline. This says that 2026 fifth consensus guideline for management of post-operative nausea vomiting, this has been published, and this says that the management strategies for PONV includes assessment of the risk factors, both the patient and the surgical risk factors, and every patient should be assessed. Emphasis on multimodal preventive measures, administration of 1 to 4 pharmacological agents to prevent PONV based on the risk assessment, and use of mitigation strategies. What are the different preventive mitigation strategies which we can use, and plus evidence-based rescue therapies in case of nausea vomiting. In addition, evidence-based rescue intervention when the PONV occurs. So most of our discussion would be based on this 2026 guideline, that is different strategies for managing post-op nausea vomiting, the recommendation. So first few definition. So how do we define PONV? This is described as nausea and vomiting, or nausea or vomiting, anything, nausea and vomiting, nausea or vomiting, or retching in post-anesthesia care unit in immediate or within 24 hours of the surgery. So this is described as post-op nausea vomiting, describes nausea and or vomiting, nausea and or vomiting, or retching in post anesthesia care unit or in immediate 24 post operative hours, right? So this is post operative nausea and vomiting. Now what is PDNV? This is nausea vomiting which occurs after discharge. So occurs after discharge from outpatient procedure, that is from ambulatory procedure, daycare procedure. So post discharge nausea and vomiting we call it. And in children it is very difficult to ask for nausea. So it is, instead of PONV, it is POV, post-operative vomiting. So this term is used in children. So it's better to use the term POV in children rather than PONV. Okay, so let us see some of the questions. One of the most important thing that we need to know, how to give this antiemetic prophylaxis. There are various drugs. What should be the best timing and best dose? And that is most important thing in managing nausea vomiting. So most of my questions which I have formulated is based on that. Which of the following is the considered best practice for patient with high risk, that is high risk 3 to 4 risk factors for PONV. So we will talk about the different risk factors, and on the basis of the risk factors, how do we plan our strategy, right? So we will talk about it. When is the optimal time to administer dexamethasone for maximum post-op nausea vomiting? So what is the best time for giving dexamethasone as an antiemetic agent? Then what is the recommended doses and timing for ondansetron in adult with PONV prophylaxis? Okay. Then a 25-year-old female with a history of motion sickness is undergoing laparoscopic gynecological surgery. Which are the risk factors for PONV she has? So these questions again I will discuss with you once I have done with the topic. One more. Which of the following side effect is commonly associated with dexamethasone prophylaxis? So when we use the antiemetic prophylaxis, we need to be aware of their side effects also. So we'll talk about it. So let us talk about pathophysiology. Now nausea and vomiting may be may occur due to central and peripheral mechanism, and also occur due to direct effect of some of the drugs and toxins. So nausea and vomiting may be induced through variety of central and peripheral mechanism, right? Now there are 5 principal neurotransmitter receptors that mediate nausea and vomiting, The first one is muscarinic M1 receptor, then dopamine D2 receptor, then histamine H1, 5-HT3 serotonin, and neurokinin 1 through substance P. So these are the important neurotransmitter receptors: muscarinic, dopamine, histamine, 5-HT3, neurokinin mediating through substance P, 5-HT3 mediating through serotonin, which is responsible for the mechanism of nausea and vomiting. And when we plan our antiemetic, these are the receptors which we target on. So let's talk about the central mechanism. Now nausea and vomiting can be triggered by a lot of higher cortical centers features like fear, like nauseous smell, etc. So nausea and vomiting can be triggered by higher cortical centers communicating with central pattern generator, that was previously called vomiting center, communicating with central pattern generator, which was previously called vomiting center, right? In case of what are the stimuli? In case of fear, pain, etc. Fear, pain, anxiety, or stimulation of the vestibular system, right? Stimulation of vestibular system. So these are the different stimuli for the central mechanism of nausea and vomiting. So if you see this diagram, this is the higher CNS centers, and which can directly stimulate the area postrema, which would stimulate the central pattern generator, which is the vomiting center, and which will send the vagal afferent and will generate the emesis, which will cause the emesis, right? So this is your central mechanism. Now let's talk about the peripheral mechanism. A lot of peripheral mechanism like direct gastric stimulation can cause nausea and vomiting. So direct gastric stimulation from gastric trauma, blood or toxin induces release of substance P and serotonin from enterochromaffin cells, and this activates vagal and splanchnic nerve, through 5-HT3 receptor. So through 5-HT3 receptor. So you can see the peripheral mechanism. The peripheral mechanism is dominated by 5-HT3 receptor. So 5-HT3 serotonin receptor stimulates the area postrema, which stimulates the central pattern generator for the vagal afferent to cause emesis. Then through enterochromaffin cell, the vagal afferent, the serotonin is also released. Again, the substance P is also released, neurokinin receptor is also activated, which would also activate the area postrema and which would activate the central pattern generator. So, area postrema is activated by central and by multiple peripheral mechanism. The neurotransmitters can be many, like the neurotransmitters for peripheral mechanism is predominantly 5-HT3, and for central stimuli it is mostly H1 and the muscarinic receptor. Then for peripheral we have substance P also, that neurokinin 1 receptor. So we discussed that various stimuli like muscarinic, dopamine, histamine, 5-HT3, serotonin and neurokinin are involved in precipitation of nausea and vomiting. So when we are planning the antiemetic prophylaxis, the antiemetic drug, the nausea vomiting prophylaxis, we should target the multiple receptors for an effective prophylaxis, and that is what we will discuss further. Okay, so drug and toxin are the other third thing which would precipitate nausea and vomiting. Anesthetic agents like your inhalational anesthetic agents, some of the very important IV like etomidate are very strong precipitator of nausea vomiting. The mechanism is exactly not clear. The mechanism is exactly not clear. So, molecular and neural mechanism by which drug and toxin, drugs and toxin stimulate the nausea and vomiting is complex and improperly understood. So basically they are stimulating the area postrema. So stimulation of area postrema. Area postrema is happening by these drugs. Direct stimulation. The area postrema is in the fourth ventricle. This causes the activation of central pattern generator, and this is happening by dopamine and serotonin receptor. So dopamine and serotonin neurotransmitter, and this triggers the vomiting reflex, right? So these are the multiple mechanism of nausea and vomiting. Now there are many risk factors which causes increased risk of nausea and vomiting in some patient to other, and without prophylaxis in post-op period, the risk of nausea and vomiting is approximately 30%, right? So without prophylaxis of post-op nausea vomiting, without prophylaxis, PONV occurs in approx 30% of children and adult, 30% of children and adult after anesthesia. So you can see what a high incidence, 30%, right? Now incidence, we have the high risk. In high risk patient, the risk of incidence of risk is 80%. So normally it is 30%, and in high risk percent it is 80%. So what increases the risk factor? What increases this incidence of nausea and vomiting? There are some patient factors, there are some anesthetic factors, a lot of which can be modulated, and there are some factors because of the type of surgery patient is undergoing. So we have to understand the patient factors, we have to understand the anesthesia factors, and we have to understand the type of surgery precipitating nausea vomiting. So let's talk about the patient factors. Now if patient had a pre-op nausea and vomiting, it increases the risk of post-op nausea vomiting. So pre-op nausea vomiting, preoperative nausea and vomiting. Then female sex is one of the strongest validated risk factors for nausea vomiting. So female sex, so it is one of the strongest strongest predictor. Okay, now this is not there, the female sex is not a small risk factor before puberty, it's after puberty it is one of the strongest risk factor. Then history of post-operative nausea, vomiting or motion sickness Then non-smoking, non-smokers, smoking is protective from nausea, vomiting. Then age. Now PONV rarely occurs in children less than 3 years. PONV rarely occurs in less than 3 years. Increases in frequency with more than 3 years, and decreases with puberty, Okay, so it increases in frequency for more than 3 years and then decreases with puberty. What are the other